Chapter 17. He had found Horace waiting for him, his hand ready on his sword hilt, where he had left him in the tunnel. "Did you find out anything?" the apprentice warrior whispered hoarsely. Will let go a pent-up breath, realizing that he'd been holding it for some time now. "Plenty," he said, "all of it bad." He held up a hand to forestall Horace's further questions. "Let's get back across that bridge," he said. "I'll tell you then." He glanced into the side tunnel where they had left the Celt miner. "Have you heard anything more from Glendis?" he asked. Horace shrugged sadly. "He started moaning about an hour ago. Then he went quiet. I think he's dead." "At least he died the way he wanted to," he said. Then he followed Will back through the dimly lit tunnel to the bridge. They made their way across the planking again to where Evelyn waited with the horses, well back from the bridge and out of sight. When they were close, Will called her name softly so as to avoid startling her. Horace had left his dagger with Evelyn, and Will thought an armed Evelyn would not be a person to approach unexpectedly. As he described the scene at the other end of the tunnel, he hastily scratched a map in the sand for them. "Somehow we're going to have to find a way to delay Morgorath's forces," he said. The other two looked at him curiously. Delay them? How could 2 apprentices and a girl delay 500 Scandians and several thousand relentless Wargals? "I thought you said we should get word to the king," Evelyn said. "We don't have time anymore," Will said simply. "Look!" They leaned forward as he smoothed over the diagram he had drawn in the sand and hastily sketched out a new one. He wasn't sure that it was totally accurate, but at least it included the most important features of the kingdom, as well as the southern plateau where Morgorath ruled. "They said they have more Scandians coming up the cliffs on the south coast, to join with the Wargals we've already seen. They'll cross the fissure here, where we are, and move north to attack the barons in the rear, while they wait for Morgorath to try to break out of Three-Step Pass." "Yes," said Horace, "we know that. We guessed it as soon as we saw the bridge." Will looked up at him and Horace fell silent. He realized the ranger apprentice had something else to say. "But," said Will, emphasizing the word and pausing for a moment, "I also heard them saying something about Horth and his men marching around Thorntree Forest. That's up here to the north of the plains of Uthal." Evelyn grasped the point immediately. "Which would bring the Scandians northwest of the king's army. They'd be trapped between the Wargals and Scandians who have crossed the bridge and the other force from the north." "Exactly," said Will, meeting her gaze. They could both appreciate how dangerous that situation would be for the assembled barons. Expecting a Scandian attack through the fenlands to the east, they'd be taken by surprise from not one, but 2 different directions, caught between the arms of a pincer and crushed. "Then we'd better warn the king, surely," insisted Horace. "Horace," said Will patiently, "it would take us 4 days to reach the plains." "Even more reason to get going. We haven't a moment to waste," said the young warrior. "And then," put in Evelyn, seeing Will's point, "it would take at least another 4 days for any sort of force to get back here and hold the bridge, maybe more." "That's 8 days all told," said Will. "Remember what that poor miner said? The bridge will be ready in 4 days. The Wargals and Scandians will have plenty of time to cross the fissure, assemble in battle formation, and attack the king's army." "But," Horace began, and Will interrupted him. "Horace, even if we get warning to the king and the barons, they'll be badly outnumbered, and they'll be caught between 2 forces, with no way to retreat. The swamps of the fenlands will be behind them. Now I know we have to get a warning to them, but can we also do something here to even the numbers?" "Plus," Evelyn put in, and Horace turned to face her, "if we can do something to stop the Wargals and Scandians crossing here, the king will have the advantage over this northern force of Scandians." Horace nodded. "They won't be outnumbered, I guess," he said. Evelyn nodded, but then added, "That's part of it. But those Scandians will be expecting reinforcements to attack the king from the rear. Reinforcements that will never arrive." Understanding dawned in Horace's eyes. He nodded slowly several times. Then the frown returned. "But what can we do to stop the Wargles here?" he asked. Will and Evelyn exchanged a glance. He could see they'd come to the same conclusion. They both spoke at the same time. "Burn the bridge," they said.